Rebels Season 2 wrapped with the return of one of the most iconic Star Wars warriors to date, with Darth Maul making his first appearance in the Rebels series. The episode ended with Maul departing the planet of Malachor, which he had been trapped on for years in a stolen TIE fighter, with his hatred for Sidious, Vader, and the Empire as a whole at its height. So for this video, I am here to share my predictions for Darth Maul for Season 3 of Rebels, and what role he will play in the new season. There are a few very important indications we got from Maul in Season 2 as to what role he could play in the upcoming season. To me, he has two very distinctive things that he wants to acquire, one being the Sith Holocron now in the possession of Ezra, and two being an apprentice to train. In the finale, Maul showed a particular interest in Ezra and his abilities, even stating that he was his at one point. Maul's and Ezra's relationship in Season 3 will definitely be an interesting one to say the least, and I think after Maul's blinding of Kanan in the finale, this has not done much to help the relationship between the two, and may have stomped out any hopes of a partnership between them entirely. Although I don't want to rule it out fully just yet, I predict that ship has sailed, and that Maul will be in need of a new apprentice for Season 3. I do think, however, Maul will come across another individual with power in the Force, or possibly even seek one out. Fans for years have clamored for the character of Starkiller to appear in Rebels, and with Kanan now taking on some traits of the EU character Rom Koda, I would say Starkiller's appearance has never been more likely for the series. It is, however, a possibility ultimately Ezra will take this role on. However, at this point, it almost seems as if Ezra is the anti-Starkiller character, with his journey beginning on the light and ending on the dark, and with it occurring vice versa with Starkiller. Maul really made it clear he felt he needed an apprentice in Season 2, and I think this need will eventually be filled with the Starkiller-esque character being introduced. I mentioned earlier how Ezra seems to be the opposite of Starkiller, but at the same time being very similar and trained in a very unconventional way, with them both essentially being trained in complete secrecy in fear of the Emperor in both cases. In a lot of ways, Kanan and Maul are very similar characters as well. These are two individuals who may in some way be considered failed apprentices in their own right, who were forced to take their own path. Kanan's master was killed in Order 66, leaving him largely untrained, and Maul chose to abandon Sidious after his defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan, in fear of further torture or being killed by his former master outright. If a character like Starkiller was introduced as the apprentice to Maul, it would be extremely interesting, as the Darkside Master and Apprentice would serve as a compelling mirror and alternative to the Lightside Master and Apprentice with Kanan and Ezra. This would also allow them to play out Starkiller's story in its original fashion, with him feeling the pull towards the light and Ezra continuing to feel the pull towards the dark. I now want to address the Sith Holocron. This Holocron is something Maul has spent some time attempting to acquire, and I don't believe he will give up on it that easily. I think Maul will go directly after the Ghost Crew in attempts at getting at it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was ultimately successful. Maul's biggest goal right now is the destruction of the Empire, as he views its leaders responsible for all of the hardship he has experienced over his life. Now that Maul is back in the game, however, and Vader is aware of this, his problems are just beginning. Although when concerning Vader, after his harsh fight with Ahsoka, he will need time to recuperate and give Maul a period of time in which to strike. Vader will, however, inevitably be dispatched to kill the fallen Sith apprentice after his injuries have healed fully. Even in the finale, we saw Vader had the 8th brother searching for Maul, and this is undoubtedly by the Emperor's orders. This tells us that even before Maul escaped the planet, the Emperor, and as an extension, Vader were actively pursuing him. Now that Maul has escaped, I predict that Season 3 of Rebels will lead to an ultimate confrontation between Vader and Maul, with the Ghost Crew and possibly a Starkiller apprentice character caught in the middle. Maul, now more than ever, has shown he is a huge threat, and on top of that, Vader and the Empire knows it. Maul could very well be public enemy number 1 at this point, even more so than the Rebels. Something that could be a cool story to pursue would be an alliance between Maul and the Ghost Crew. However, after Maul's betrayal of them on Malachor, this is unlikely. As a side note, I would love a slightly recreated scene where Vader stabs a new Starkiller-like character through the back, as he did in the original Force Unleashed game, which is one of my standout moments in Star Wars. In the latter half of Season 3, I think it will be played up as a huge confrontation between Maul and Vader, with the Emperor truly testing Vader and his status as a Sith. I think Maul will actually get a hold of the Sith Holocron and maybe take on an apprentice of his own, or maybe, although unlikely, Ezra will join him in the dark side. I do want to say though that I view a fight between Vader and Maul to be extremely likely, and honestly, I would be more surprised if we didn't get one than if we did. Maul's role in Season 3 will hopefully be a big one, and filled with a ton of great stories and hardship, especially since he is in a very difficult situation last we saw him. As another side note, I realize Sam Witwer voices both Darth Maul and Starkiller, but I don't think this would be a problem, and I think he has enough range to voice multiple characters, as we've seen him do in the past, as he voiced both Starkiller and the Emperor in the original Force Unleashed game, and did a fantastic job. Anyway guys, tell me what type of role you think Maul will play in Season 3 of Rebels. Do you think he will serve as the main antagonist for the whole season with Vader taking a break, or do you think he will show up more towards the end and choose to lay low for the first few episodes? Do you think Maul and Vader will eventually lock blades, and who do you think will win? Also, how would you feel about a Starkiller character being introduced this way, or would you rather it be done another way, or not at all? Leave all your predictions for Season 3 of Rebels when concerning Maul down below. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.